Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's see what happens.
I start to get anxious and tense up when I'm around other women now because I don't want to fight with Mary every single time I'm interacting with another woman.
How long have you guys been dating?
We've been dating for over 2 years now.
Is this your first love?
Is this your first love? I can't imagine that this dental professional would ask that question unless they were coached. Although I have had some pretty interesting interactions with dental staff. I've talked about this before, but just briefly, it was a younger, she ended up telling me a lot of her history very quickly. So I learned that she was 19. Anyway, so I'm sitting down, they have that chit chat. She's like, are you working today? Because it was in the middle of the day of a work day. And I was like, yeah, I work across the street. And she says, oh, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a professor. Oh, professor of what? Oh, I might have said I work at Antioch. And she says, oh, what do you do at Antioch? And I was like, oh, I'm a professor. Oh, because I usually try to avoid getting into it with people, honestly. Because, why? I guess it's because I get I get reactions like the way she reacted. So I said, a professor of what? Well, I train therapists. And then boom, she just goes off on this tangent of like how therapy is this big sham, how they're, literally she said, therapists and psychologists are just in it for the money. They're just trying to make people feel like they have a problem so that they can coerce them or exploit them for money and that kind of thing. She said she said that when she was a teen, she had a bad experience in therapy with her family, and that explains why she had that point of view, I think. And then I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. I don't feel offended because her point of view is so wrong and so out there, and so obviously a result of her own issues that I don't feel personally offended. I feel pretty secure in my industry, but the thing I worried about was her for her employment because, those dental chairs there's no walls, right? So, not typically. And I'm thinking one of your coworkers or maybe even your boss is going to hear you saying this and they are not going to think kindly of you talking this. You can have that belief, but you probably don't want to tell one of the customers because it might alienate the customer. It might cause the customer never to come in again. So point is that medical professionals of all kind often will try to have some banter, particularly in dental offices. I find there's a lot of conversational banter, and they will sometimes ask some pretty odd questions like, is this your first love? But I can't imagine that this medical professional would ask, particularly on camera, unless the producer says, we want you to ask this question. So anyway, so then she does ask the question. He says, no, she's not my first love. Oh, and by the way, I have an injury here. I talked about it earlier. I was under the house, under the deck, and I was crouched over and also had just recovered from scraping my chest on a brick. And I was like, ugh. And I was walking, and then I nailed this beam that was in the ceiling above me. I didn't realize that I had really injured myself. It was, I feel like I hit my head a lot as a kid. And so when I hit my head, I was like, oh yeah, I remember what this feels like.
I'm interacting with another woman.
How long have you guys been dating?
We've been dating for over 2 years now.
Is this your first love?
No, it's not.
Well, I'm just gonna go show Dr. Tammy your.
Okay, so we saw her reaction, which seemed immediate hurt. Let's rewind that.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we don't know what she's reacting to precisely, but what it looks like is that she is hurt that he is now saying that he loved someone else prior to her. So, yeah, hard to know what's going on, but okay. It's normal for securely attached people to feel this way, to intellectually understand that your current partner has been in love with someone before, had sex with someone before, been infatuated with someone else before. Intellectually, most of us understand that. And for secure people, it's not a threat because we understand that that's just the way life goes. But even for secure people, if you were to hear or have the details of your partner's past relationships really in your face, then it's natural to be a little threatened by that, maybe a lot threatened, depending on how much you're exposed to. Imagine if you were to watch your current partner, like a videotape of your current partner being very lovey-dovey and very in love, maybe having sex with a previous partner, watching it on video. Might be hard to watch, even though intellectually you understand that that was probably happening, but to see it, it's a thing. So she is reacting. Her reaction is interesting, though. It's very quick. It'd be one thing to have her say, oof, that kind of hurts. Another thing to, let's watch this again.
Dating for over 2 years now.
Is this your first love?
No, it's not.
So you see her reaction. It's pretty visceral. It's immediate, again, pointing towards a legitimate relationship between the two of them. And she seems very hurt, very quick, and also upset, kind of angry at the same time.
Well, I'm just gonna go show Dr. Tammy your films, and we'll be right back in, okay?
Okay, thank you. Are you crying?
You lied to me. You said I'm your first love, but now you said I'm not.
Oh, well, if it's a lie, then yeah, that would hurt. So,
What she means by that is like first girlfriend.
I have an ex too, but he's not my first love.
Oh, when you put it like that, yes, of course you are my first love.
okay, so he seems to be coming across as genuine, but he could also be lying to get out of trouble. But what he's saying is, when she asked me, is Mary my first love, I said no, because I thought what she was asking was, have I ever had a previous partner before? So I don't know if this is the situation, but maybe he was trying to impress this random person, saying like, oh, no, I've had other relationships in the past. I'm not some sort of virgin or something. And he's saying, yeah, I've been in a relationship before. And then that eclipsed his attention on how it would affect her. But anyway, what he's saying is that he interpreted it as, have ever had another partner before, not have I been in love before. And so he's trying to convince her of that now. But there's some concern there, because when controlling people, I don't know if we want to say abusive, but preoccupied, maybe the label we could say is a preoccupied controller, someone who tries to manage their preoccupation through control, that they will sometimes have this need that their current partner has never had another relationship and has never been in love with anyone else. In fact, a lot of controlling, preoccupied people will choose young partners, very young partners, because it to them assures more likelihood of that person never having been with anybody else. And because they're so insecure about their attachments and their worth, they don't want any kind of threat, past, present, or future. So it sounds like they've had previous conversations, maybe previous fights, that made him modify his narrative of his past to say that none of the relationships in the past mattered at all.
Anytime I've made Mary upset, or I've caused her pain, or I was talking to a girl in a certain tone of voice, I feel like I've let her down somehow, some way. I find a way to make her overthink, and I feel terrible for it, honestly.
Yeah, on one hand, it's good that he cares and has compassion for her pain. On the other hand, he's starting to talk like an ongoing abuse victim or control victim of a preoccupied controller. So it's a little concerning. He's blaming himself. He said earlier, I don't know if I showed the clip, but he says that now whenever he interacts with any women, he is uptight because he's worried that he's going to be punished by his partner. It would be much easier for us to identify this as being somewhere on the abusive spectrum if the genders were reversed, right? And we shouldn't discount the fact that just because he's a guy doesn't mean that he can't also be a victim of that.
Really a struggle to keep myself composed and hopeful about everything, because I feel like I deserve that trust.
Yeah, that's good that he can recognize that he believes that he doesn't deserve for her to be as triggered and as controlling and as upset. He feels like, I feel like I've earned your trust and you're not trusting me, and it doesn't feel right to me. So it's good that he can see that. If he said, well, I'm just a terrible person, I talk to too many women, it's my fault, when he's just talking to cashiers and medical professionals. And that would indicate more gaslighting and less differentiation for himself. All right, well, that does it for that episode. Everyone, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.